The NBA has announced that it has changed its selection process and the whole entire format of the All Star game. And I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out why any of us should care. Maybe they have done some stuff, maybe they have fixed some things. So, we're going to dive into an article from ESPN to figure out if this is intriguing enough for any of us to watch. Because, to be quite honest, the NBA All Star game has been a big bunch of hot garbage for the last, God, 10, 15 years. It's been absolutely terrible. Nobody tries. Nobody cares. The only thing worse than possibly the NBA All Star Game is the NFL Pro Bowl. And now that it's flag football, so that's as big of a joke as can get. But let's find out and see if the NBA is going to be bringing us anything palpable or anything fun to watch. So here we are. The article right here is NBA presents new All-Star Game format selection process by Tim Bontemps, and this was done on November 11th. So let's go ahead and see what they've got for us. The NBA announced its long-awaited plans to overhaul the whole All-Star Game Tuesday night, laying out how the new United States once again versus the world format will go and how teams will be formed. So to be quite honest, I'm already not interested, right? Because we've done Team USA versus the world before. And while it can be fun, right? And maybe even more now, it could be even more fun because you're putting Luca and you're potentially, I'll put potentially putting Luca, potentially putting what you call it, God, why am I blanking on his name? Jokic. You're putting Jokic in there. You might put Embiid in there if he decides to go back to being international or American. He picks and chooses. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Look, there's a good amount of international players that you could put in there against the Americans. So, in theory, it could be intriguing. But let's continue to see what they have to say here. Beyond the obvious change, going to a three-team format featuring eight-man rosters, two of which will be made up of American players, and a third of international selections. There are a couple of changes to how those players will be selected. I'm already confused. Why do we have three teams? Why are they eight-man rosters? What is this? This is stupid. It already, like already right here. Already you're I'm reading that and I'm going, I'm out. This is already dumb. Why are we doing three teams for All-Stars? We just want to see the some of the best players in the NBA go and play basically a glorified pickup game against each other where they try a little. What is this? Let's see what else we have. The basics, five starters and seven reserves from each conference, with a combination of fans, media, and players voting for the starters. So, it's just a popularity contest, and coaches picking the reserves. So, the reserves at least will be, some of the more decent players. The seven reserves from each side will be good. Remain unchanged. What is different, though, is that there will no longer be any positional requirements. And this is the NBA playing into the positionless basketball, the thing that Golden State had basically made popular, right? And now we're seeing in the NBA that positionless basketball is kind of nonsense. Because when you look at it, who have been the last, outside of Shai Gilgeous Alexander, which was the last MVP? It was a battle between what you call it, Jokic and Embiid, two fives, two bigs, right? It was a battle between those two. It wasn't a battle between some guards and stuff. Jalen Brunson snuck in there, right? But Shai Gilgeous Alexander won last year, but the person snipping on his heels was Jokic, still a five. And yes, he plays less traditional because he shoots outside, he dribbles a little more, but he still does a lot of back to the basket work. He still does a lot of the rebounding and stuff. Yes, he can pass more because he plays more Euroball. But this whole positionless push, I've always thought is stupid because there is still a place for the traditional five. Let's keep rolling here. In the past, the starters have been made up of two backcourt players and three frontcourt players, with the reserves being the same split plus two wildcards. This year, though, the starters will be five top vote getters, regardless of position, and the reserves will be the top seven, also regardless of position. So I already think that's dumb because it's just popularity. But again, it's weird though, because didn't they say the other 7 will be chosen by the coaches? So I'm already confused with the contradiction here, because it says the 5 starters and 7 reserves from each conference, with a combination of fans, media, and players voting for the starters. So, okay, the vote getters will be the starters, right? So that should be 10 of them. And then the coaches will be picking the reserves. So, how will it be that the top 5 vote getters, regardless of position, and the reserves will be the top 7, also regardless of position? I'm very confused. So, do the coaches have a pool that they're allowed to pick out of? Like, I don't know. I'm a little confused by that, but maybe we'll get some more clarity later in the article. The league answered another lingering question. What happens if those 24 players do not evenly break down into 16 American and 8 international players? Or would the league force the voting to adhere to those numbers? Which, that would just make too much sense if they did something like that, right? It would make far too much sense if in the voting survey, they split it between American and international. And you got to choose your whatever top 20 Americans, right? Just do like top 20 something, or even do top 5, right? You choose your starting 5 Americans and your starting 5 international players. It's not all going to be the same across the board, right? A lot of fans of their teams will do what they always do and pick their favorite player from their team. But you split the pools up and you just take the top 16 vote getters from the Americans and the top 8 from the international. This isn't very hard. But again, the NBA is about to make this really convoluted. The solution is that if the player pool doesn't reflect that 16-8 split, 16 American, 8 international, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver will play favorites. Will name extra players to the roster to get to the minimum 16 Americans or the minimum 8 international players. So either give us a scenario. So if there are 14 Americans and 10 international players, Silver will name 2 more Americans to get to the 16 player minimum. So the 2 out of the 10 internationals will be kick rocks, right? So in theory, 2 individual Americans that aren't as voting, like getting that popularity, would boot 2 international players that got the votes. And then we have, and if it was a 18-6 split, he would name 2 international players to get the 8-player minimum. So again, the 2 Americans that got more votes than the internationals would be booted. So I guess that's fair. I guess that's good. Because here's, like, again, why do this? Why do this? Why make it so complicated? Right? Why make it so friggin' complicated? Why have to do this? Adam Silver decides. If it's this, why not just make this easy? Because they can't. They can't make anything easy. They can't make the All-Star game easy. They can't make the format. They can't make anything easy. They have to think of these stupid things to try and attract people when it's all dumb. Let's keep rolling on the article before I have a connection. Stop with that stupid drop down, ESPN. Excuse me. Both the NBA and NBC, which is taking over the All-Star Game broadcast after it has spent the past couple of decades on TNT as part of the league's new television agreement this year, are hoping this change will breathe life into an event that Silver has repeatedly tried to get players to invest more energy into over the past few years. And I'll give a solution at the end for how they can get players to invest without any of these dumb friggin' changes. Part of the appeal of the international format for NBC's purposes is that All Star Weekend is being built into the network's coverage of the Winter Olympic Games in February. As a result, the All Star Game will not take place in its usual 8 p.m. Eastern start time, as it regularly has in the past, and instead will be at 5 p.m. to Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, and will come on the heels of a Team USA hockey game. Here's why this is incredibly stupid. Team USA is going to be hot. They are going to be good. If we saw, anything from the exhibition a few years ago when, last year, I believe it was, when America and Canada went to battle over exhibition, and now in the Olympics, it's going to be even bigger. Nobody is going to stick around or care for the All-Star game, especially if Team USA loses. This is a losing proposition right here. This is dumb. You'll have a ton of the country, a big portion of the country watching Team USA, and a big portion of Canada because they just love their friggin' hockey, right? And around the world because people are going to want to see, because for all intents and purposes, Team USA and Team Canada should have a rematch from the exhibition All-Star game that the NHL put on, which was amazing, right? Competition, people just, players just competing hard got that to be amazing. But no, NBA, let's do gimmicks. But also to think that on the heels of Team USA playing, you're going to grab the coattails of hockey fans and hope that they stick around to watch your All-Star game. Again, more dumb stuff. As usual, there will be 4 12-minute quote-unquote quarters as part of the game, although those quarters will be played in a far different manner than usual. Here's where I got confused as hell over here. The first 3 quarters will be made up of round robin play featuring the 3 teams, allowing each of them to play twice. The hell does that even mean? So the 3 quarters will have the teams playing each other. So 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, and then 2 versus 3, I guess. In each quarter, they're going to play that's like they get a 12-minute game against each other for the quarters. I'm really confused here, guys. This is dumb. And then the last year, the quote 4th quarter will then be the game featuring the 2 best teams after the round robin action. And if all 3 teams have 1-1 records, the 2 with the best point differentials will advance to the championship game. And then it ends. This year's All-Star Weekend takes place in Los Angeles in the Intuit Dome, the Clippers' new arena, and kicks off Friday, February 13th. So let's recap here about how the NBA is trying to get me, a fan of the NBA, not major anymore because I have difficulty watching my Brooklyn Nets as YouTube TV sucks. But I like the NBA. I like watching NBA basketball. I think watching pros play is fun because they're really good at what they do. I'm not this type of person who loves college over NBA because the college kids want it more. No, college kids kind of suck at basketball. Okay. Most of the kids that play basketball are not very good in college. The very few that stand out dominate games. Okay. That's it. And March Madness is fun because the Cinderella stories are good. The upsets are good. That's fun. That's really, tournament play in the conferences and the big conferences in March Madness are the only 2 times worth watching college basketball, unless you have a local team that you want to go and enjoy. Because live, it's fun. College basketball live is fun. Even I go to Marist. The Marist men and Marist women are really fun to watch live. It's high level. It's good movement. But when you're watching and comparing it to the NBA, there is no comparison. So I like NBA basketball. I'm not someone that dislikes it. With that being said, I have zero interest in the All-Star game. I have had zero interest in the All-Star game ever since the scores started to be like 170 to 180 because they do 50-foot threes and alley-oop dunks only. Nobody plays defense. So how are we trying to solve this? How are we trying to apparently get players to want to play harder and care more and to get fans to want to watch it? We're going to make it the world versus America. Okay, cool. But not in the way you think. We're not going to get 15, whatever it is, 15 internationals versus 15 Americans and let them play 4 quarters and have fun for pride of nation versus the world, right? No. We're not going to do that. We're going to pick 18 Americans and 8 internationals, and we're going to make 3 teams of 8. And then we're going to do round robin games for 3 quarters and 1 quarter. Like, how does this make sense, y'all? Why is this going to be fun? Why are they going to try? Why are the players not going to treat this like the circus and the joke that it is? You think they're going to want to work hard? What's the light at the end of the tunnel? What are they playing for? Who cares? Especially now that they have the in-season tournament to worry about too. Another high-level thing that they're going to try and go and get a in-season championship for. You're having them play extra basketball in the year. They're more tired than they are. They already bitch, whine, and moan and complain about back-to-backs and playing 82 games. Then you added the in-season tournament, and now you're trying to motivate them to play by doing a gimmick. What are you saying? You're going to be playing less time, so play harder? Like, this is dumb. And then the selection process is confusing. Do the starters only get picked by the votes between fans, media, and players? And do the coaches get to select the other 7? Or is it all fan votes? They really, they kind of mix that up there. I'm confused. Someone smarter than me explain it to me. But to me, this is a gimmick. This maybe will last a year or two because this is bad. This is another bad, non-motivating factor to get the players to want to play hard. So here, me just being a dumb guy that talks on the internet, let me give the solution for how to make the All-Star game interesting again, how to make the All-Star games of the 90s that people loved, that people still romanticize, come back. And me as a Nets fan, truly loved watching Stephon Marbury go toe-to-toe against Kobe Bryant in an awesome display. Let's see how we get that back. Number 1, make it East versus West again. We want to see the Eastern All-Stars versus the Western All-Stars. We want to have pride in me being a Nets fan, wanting to watch the East beat the West. That is fun. That creates some friendships temporarily with people you necessarily hate. For me, having my representative for the Nets, if there is one, be with someone on the Knicks, for that time, I am rooting for that Knick player because I want to win the All-Star game for the East. That was always a fun part of it. Putting your rivalries aside to root for the conference. That's number 1. Number 2, you tell the players, enjoy the first 3 quarters. Play a little defense. Don't be lax as we've seen it, right? Play some on-ball stuff. Play a little hard on the perimeter. Once they get in the paint, go up with them. Don't hurt them, right? Okay. If someone's coming down with a head of steam, let them get a cool dunk. Don't really challenge alley-oops very hard. But play some defense. Don't let them shoot 50-footers for no reason. Play some defense on the perimeter, okay? Don't make it too easy for the first 3 quarters. Then the fourth quarter, and keep it close. Intentionally try and keep it within 5 points, right? And pros can do that. Make them do that. Tell them they have to do that. Fourth quarter, though, play ball. That's what we used to see. That in the first 3 quarters, it was fun. It was alley-oops. It was long threes. It was a good time. And they would play a little bit of defense, try and keep the score close with each other, right? Have a great time. Show the all-stars. Show your shooting range. Show how much you can dunk. That was cool. But then the fourth quarter came, and it ramped up slowly. It got more and more serious as the fourth quarter went. Under 6 minutes, it was a basketball game, y'all. And that was so much fun. Watching the best players in the world battle hard for 6 minutes. Real defense was being played. The paint was protected. You saw blocks. You saw individuals not wanting to let somebody score on them. You saw pride at stake in these things. An all-star MVP meant something back in the day. It means jack shit now. Nobody cares if you scored 50 points in an all-star game where 180 was scored. Nobody cares. Those points records, nobody cares, okay? How do you motivate them, right? Because what people are worried about now is the franchises. I'm paying you $100 million. Do not go get hurt at a stupid all-star game. I'm paying you, I'm making that much money. I have a championship to go win. I might be trying to win the in-season tournament. It's a springboard myself, right? Or make it far. I don't want to get hurt in an exhibition game. How do you motivate them? Here's how you motivate them, NBA. You put a cool million to the 15 players that win. Cool million each to the 15 players that win. I know $15 million is steep. And I know $1 million, people are going to say $1 million are a drop in the bucket to these guys. But I guarantee they'll play harder. And you tell anyone that goes to this game, if you do not play hard in that fourth quarter, if you do not follow the rules that we are setting for you to do, then you are not invited back next year. Period. I don't care how many votes you get. We will not allow you to be there and make a mockery of our league. Because right now, everybody laughs at the NBA All-Star Game. Everybody laughs at the NFL Pro Bowl. The only serious All-Star games are the MLB All-Star Game and the NHL. They play hard. MLB's fun. Those pitchers know they have a limited time. They're coming in there throwing cheese. Those hitters know they might only get one or two at bats. They're trying to make fun plays. They're doing great in the outfield. Hockey is hockey. Hockey just plays. Those guys, they like playing hard. They don't care if they get hurt. They enjoy it, which is why so many franchises were trying to put the kibosh on them playing in the in the Olympics sometimes. But they like playing. When hockey players step on the ice, they play. There is no holding back. They don't do that. Motivate these guys. Tell the winning team they each get a cool million. Each player gets a cool million if they win. You want to see them play? They'll play. They'll play for that. Yes, a million is quote unquote a drop in the bucket for what they make, but it's still $1 million, y'all. And you know where it may not mean much to LeBron, Steph, KD, even Anthony Edwards, some of these more prominent guys. But ask that young all-star, that first-time rookie. Ask Dylan Harper what that would mean. Ask Victor Wembanyama when he's on his first rookie contract. Ask a potential of Ace Bailey or what's his name? EJ Edgecombe. Whatever. I think that's his name, VJ. The one on the Sixers. Ask these guys what that would mean if they were on the winning side and got a cool extra million in their pocket. You want to motivate them? That's what you do. You stop with these stupid gimmicks. You stop with these dumb things that nobody's interested in. And what you do is you sit there and you make it East versus West again. You let them wear their jerseys. That was so much fun when the one team was home, one team was away, and you just saw them all wearing their regular jerseys and they had an all-star patch added to it. So you knew which side they were on. That's it. You sit there, you let them play, you tell them to have fun for 3/4, you tell them to ball out for the fourth, you put a million per player on the line, and that's how you do it. It's a simple fix. You'll make it fun. You'll make people want to watch it, and you'll make the best players in the world actually show what they can do. And don't just make it this dumb mockery of, let's just not get hurt. Let's make this dumb. Nobody cares. So that's how you fix it. But again, the NBA is not going to listen to me. They're going to do this. It's going to flounder. It's going to suck. Nobody's going to watch because they don't play defense and they just do dumb things. Nobody's going to be motivated to do anything because they're playing extra basketball during the season and they already whine about 82 games. So that's that. So thank you for everyone for watching this video. I appreciate you for watching it this long. If you're kind enough to please subscribe wherever you are watching, whether it is on YouTube or Rumble, wherever you're watching this, that'll be awesome. Follow us over there. Give us a like, leave a comment on the video. I'd always appreciate that. And make sure you tune in every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's where the live show is on. Every other week we interview somebody, and then the following weeks I do a reaction video to a video that David sends me because he's off that week. He's at work and he just likes to torture me. So please make sure you go do that. And if you like to see more of these videos and these clips, you got to subscribe to the YouTube or Rumble, and that's where they'll be. So I appreciate everyone for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your time. Thank you so much. So long, y'all.